Hello and welcome to NMP 621, Introduction to Philanthropy and Fundraising Fundamentals. My name is Christine Crofis and I will be your course instructor for the next 8 weeks. A warm welcome back to those of you with whom I have just spent the past 8 weeks in NMP 600. I'm delighted to have you in class once again. And for some of you, this will be the first time that I will have you in class, and a warm welcome to you as well. For many of you, this is either your first or your second course in your respective graduate degree program. Either in nonprofit management and philanthropy or strategic fundraising and philanthropy. And we want to extend a very warm welcome to not only NMP 621 but to your graduate degree program as well. We're very glad that you've chosen to join us here at Bay Path University, and we look forward to getting to know each of you as an individual and to helping you gain the skills, knowledge, and self-awareness that will help you reach your academic and professional goals. Just a word quickly, if this is your first online class, I just want to clarify that my role as your course instructor will be as a facilitator. And I look forward to our journey together in exploring the rich history of philanthropy and gaining a much better understanding of the best practices in fundraising. And as a facilitator, my role is a little bit different than what you might find in a traditional classroom setting. I act as a facilitator for your learning experience. I organize the course and the selected readings and other materials which will help you meet the learning objectives. I am also available to provide encouragement and guidance along the way. However, I will not do a formal lecture other than these weekly Integrity recordings, nor will I direct the weekly discussion forums. We will have your fellow classmates will be serving as discussion forum leaders throughout the weeks 2 through 8. I also expect that you will speak up and let me and your classmates know what we can do to help you have a good learning experience, or if your circumstances are such that you need some extra time or some special considerations. So in that regard, I ask that you definitely review all of that important information that's contained in the introductory folder to the class site, and especially be careful to review the syllabus and note the due dates for all of the assignments. Generally speaking, as you know, I don't accept late submissions, and time management is really key to your success in this particular class. So the required readings for each week are listed in the syllabus, and take a look at the assignment deadlines so that you can familiarize yourself with those ahead of time. So let's talk a little bit about the class itself. Introduction to Philanthropy and Fundraising Fundamentals. The emphasis here really is on philanthropy. The theories of philanthropy and individual giving. And we will be brushing the basics of fundraising fundamentals, but it is not a course about fundraising techniques specifically. You will find that there are other individual classes that follow this one about specific fundraising elements such as annual giving, capital campaigns, resource development, that sort of thing. Our goal in 621 is to really establish a base and to discuss a basic philosophy of philanthropy, and to just skim the surface of those fundraising fundamentals. I urge you, if you haven't already, to please go back into the introductory model and introduce yourself. We would like to know a little bit about you and what your experiences have been. with philanthropy. And even those of you who think that you have no experience with philanthropy, dig a little deeper, because I suspect that you do have experience, although it might not be formal, and you might not think of it necessarily as philanthropy. Every week there will be a PowerPoint presentation presented in these Tegrity recordings, and the goal of the Tegrity recording every week is really to guide your overall thinking and reading for the week, to point out some highlights, and to just generally give you an overview of the week's work. Please, I want to stress that these Tegrity recordings are not a substitute for the required reading. So please don't think of them that way. They're really more to help you to focus and realize what the important takeaways are for the week. I want you to think about each week the weekly readings, and to read deeply and try to start to connect the dots from week to week right away, and to apply what we read to those discussion forum questions. That's really one of the goals of the discussion forums, is to allow you to apply the theories and discuss them with your fellow students, and come to a deeper understanding. So let's talk a little bit about and have you think about your own philanthropic journey or your own philanthropic story. Stories make us uniquely human. Scientists have told us that humans have been telling stories since we could talk. And this important evolutionary tool has helped our species succeed. The human brain is uniquely wired for storytelling. It helps us to see and shape our lives. It often helps us overcome adversity. And as we have already seen, stories reveal things about humans that science cannot always uncover. So this leads very neatly into the first week's assignment, which is the philanthropic autobiography. It's really the perfect assignment for the first week of our exploration of philanthropy. And I urge you to really encourage you to share your stories with the class as we progress, and relate them to the stories that we will be reading together. Sometimes these stories may be challenging or controversial, but don't let that frustrate you. I'm confident that we will emerge at the other end with a deeper, even more complex understanding of what philanthropy means in our own lives. So, let's ask the big question. What is philanthropy? So I want you to take just a moment, please, and think for yourself, how do you define philanthropy? If you'd like, just take a few seconds and jot down on a piece of paper what might be your definition of philanthropy. Even a couple of words would do. I think one of the things that you will discover, one of the assignments or one of the required watchings, if you will, for this week is a short YouTube video entitled, "What is Philanthropy?" And I think you will discover that this word, philanthropy, perplexes many, many people. In one of our discussion forums this week, you will be asked about your definition of philanthropy, and to discuss and support your definition of philanthropy. And you will, in addition to the YouTube video, I think one of the takeaways from that discussion forum will be that no one really has quite the same definition. And yet everyone shows enthusiasm about exploring the topic of philanthropy. And so this video reminded me that what we are doing together in NMP 621 in exploring philanthropy is really a humanistic endeavor. We're trying to understand, really, the human condition through the lens of giving and sharing. And the lens of philanthropic studies is unique, really, because we not only want to understand the human condition, we want to understand the desire to make it better. Now, some of the points that have been written about in past classes, let me just share some of them with you to try to, at least initially anyway, begin to expand your thinking about philanthropy. So think about some of these points. Philanthropy is giving time or volunteering money or belongings for the benefit of someone less fortunate. Philanthropy is helping someone help themselves. Philanthropy is having a career or making a living that is about more than selling stuff in the corporate world. Philanthropy is the action of improving your life, making it better by making others happy. It is a concern for the greater good. Philanthropy is love. Philanthropy is the opposite of individualism. It's an understanding of community or interconnectedness, to make time in our lives for others, to realize that we are part of a whole society, and we remember that we are only truly as wealthy as our poorest citizen. Philanthropy is being part of something larger than myself. And philanthropy includes support for nonprofit organizations. So let's take a look at the Understanding Philanthropy, the Peyton and Moody text, which is one of the, if not the main text for the course. Robert Peyton emphasized the importance of obtaining a broad understanding of society, which was rooted in the liberal arts as much as professional skills such as managing and evaluating grants and other kinds of nonprofit activities. And this is why this particular text was chosen for this course, because he emphasizes the importance of asking the why questions. It is has a real grounding in the moral underpinnings of philanthropy, as opposed to the operational details of fundraising. So it does give you that broader understanding of philanthropy. And as I said, he encourages the asking of those why questions. Why does philanthropy exist? And why is it an important part of our society? So let's take a quick look. For those of you who were in NMP 600, this might look a little familiar to you. I did use it in one of the introductory, I believe in the week 2, when we talked about the history of nonprofit organizations, about how Peyton and Moody's theories about how society is organized. Now, this is overly simplified conception of modern society. In fact, our world is much more complex and the boundaries are much fuzzier than this outline would lead you to believe. But it's a useful academic tool in framing our conversation about philanthropy. As you can see here, to refresh, there are 3 sectors: government, business, and philanthropy. Peyton and Moody choose to use the term philanthropy as opposed to nonprofit. So when we were discussing the 3 sectors of society, we might have used the word nonprofit or third sector as opposed to philanthropy, but it is that same third line on the chart. Philanthropy is inherently, Peyton and Moody claim, inherently about moral action because it is primarily other-directed and voluntary. Peyton and Moody again say that philanthropy is a normative term describing normative human activity. Philanthropy is more a tradition, they feel, than a sector, and as a concept, philanthropy encompasses the non-profit sector. So philanthropy is an expression of the moral imagination. I really like that thought, so let me repeat it. Philanthropy is an expression of the moral imagination and encompasses a moral agenda for society that evolves in response to changing social conditions and needs. Here you see the 5 that are outlined in your Peyton and Moody text, that philanthropy responds to the human condition or problematic. The first being that things often go wrong, but that things could always be made better. Philanthropy is one response to those aspects of the human condition, a response that is essential to our understanding of human nature. And 3, the human condition creates often unpredictable opportunities and challenges. 4, that human nature responds in often unpredictable ways to alleviate suffering and to improve the quality of life. And finally, the unpredictable quality of the human condition and human nature constitute the human problematic, to which philanthropy responds. Peyton and Moody also say that philanthropy requires 3 things: thought, action, and passion. So here are a few common definitions of philanthropy, even though, as we have discussed, it is a contested concept. The definitions, though similar, do vary. One of them is by Solomon, and we had the Solomon text in NMP 600. Solomon's definition encompasses only the actual act of giving, if you'll notice, private giving for public purposes. The other definitions contain the act as well, but in the other 3 are included a representation of an ideal societal condition. Both Peyton in the lower right and Van Til in the lower left also include attention to the individual or the entity's decision and will to act. There is also consideration of intention or motivation, which isn't really captured here, but which you will read about in the article entitled Hardwired for Giving. You should consider this in the discussion forums as well, and wrestle, please, with that tension between a biological response, as science suggests, and philanthropy as a social learned behavior. And like your definitions, none of these definitions is wrong or absolutely right. They all express different views on philanthropy, and as the class goes on, I suspect that you will discover that you prefer one definition over another, or one that meshes with your own personal definition more smoothly. So pay attention. as we move along as to how your own personal definition of philanthropy evolves during the next 8 weeks, if you will. The key definition here really in terms of the Peyton and Moody text, and we will come back to this definition time and time again, and it happens to be one of my favorites, and that is voluntary action for the public good. That's the Peyton and Moody definition of philanthropy. Voluntary action for the public good. So let's take a quick look at the week ahead here in week 1 of NMP 621. And the first item up is to remind you that on Friday, January 16th, on campus at Bay Path University, the guest for the Hot Topics breakfast on that morning will be Penelope Burke, who's really an internationally known spokesperson in the field of philanthropy and fundraising, specifically data-driven fundraising. And if you are anywhere close enough to campus to be able to attend that breakfast on Friday, January 16th, I would urge you to do so. There you see the link to register for the breakfast. It is, I believe it's free to register. I'm hoping to go myself, and if I do make it over, I hope to meet many of you that morning. But in any event, I believe they will either be recording it or streaming it so that you will have access to hearing her remarks, even if you're unable to be there on January 16th. The assignment for this week is your philanthropic autobiography. This is an important assignment, and we will be, I would really urge you to spend some time really thinking this through before you sit down to actually write it. There are some guided questions in the assignment instructions in the week 1 module. But please bear in mind that this philanthropic autobiography is to be in essay form. It is not simply to list the questions and answer the questions in list form. Those questions are there as a guide for you. It really is meant to just help deepen your thinking about your own path. We will revisit this autobiography later in the course, so I do urge you to take your time, plan your time well, and really think about this particular assignment. There are 4 discussion forums this week, and a reminder that the deadline, or the 2 deadlines, one is that your initial post in each of the forums should be done no later than midnight on Tuesday night, and with your final posts, reply posts, hopefully two in each of the discussion forums, 2 reply posts. That deadline is Friday at midnight. There is a course agreement, which is also part of the week's assignments, and not listed on this PowerPoint sheet. There is also a class quiz. So the assignments for the week are all due on Sunday night at midnight. So that's the philanthropic autobiography. That's the big assignment for the week. Also the course agreement and the class quiz. Those 3 assignments are due on Sunday night at midnight. As always, please contact me through email or through the Canvas site. Message me, or give me a call on my cell phone. That number is 845-380-0155. That's my phone number. Please contact me at any time with any questions or concerns that you may have. This is an accelerated class, as we've said many times, and so managing your time effectively is critical so that you don't get behind. I look forward to getting to know each of you during the course of this class. The world of philanthropy and fundraising for nonprofit organizations in America is really, truly a wonderful thing, and we will be learning a great deal from one another as well as from the course materials. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. That's it for the week. I'll see you online. Thanks.